The motion picture you are about to see is a story of the worst natural disaster in our nation's history, Hurricane Agnes.
Agnes was a very significant impact. It occurred in 1972. It was a major flood, remnants of a hurricane, a tropical system that came and stalled over Pennsylvania and dropped a tremendous amount of rain over the watershed. This area in particular was one of the ones that was most affected. That's why we're here. But the kind of felt throughout Pennsylvania. Most people know Agnes as the storm of record throughout most of Pennsylvania, especially along the Susquehanna Valley. In 1968 was the passage of the NFIP, and then 4 years later, we had Agnes here. So that was really the impetus behind a lot of floodplain management in Pennsylvania, was that, having that event, at the very beginning of the program, it really drove home the need for good floodplain management. And we're so intimately tied to the river that it's just, it's something that we have to live with. We love it for recreation. I'm a fisherman myself. I love being down here. It feels good to be on the water, but there's an inherent risk of being here. And I like that juxtaposition of, how we embrace the river, but also how dangerous it can be.
There are lessons to be learned from Hurricane Agnes. That man must stop crowding our rivers and streams by building in the floodplain. And where man has foolishly invaded the floodplain with major development, a flood control system is essential to the protection of life and property.
Mitigation is the act of reducing the severity of something. So in this case, it's the act of reducing flooding due to increased storms, precipitation, and stormwater.
Well, what the authority does, we are tasked with the operation and maintenance of the 16-mile Wyoming Valley Flood Risk Management Project. It was designed and built to prevent the reoccurrence of an Agnes level flood. So essentially this massive infrastructure system keeps floodwaters out of our living rooms. This is a dynamic and complex flood protection system. There's 13 pump stations, there's over 40 pumps. We have several miles of an electrical distribution system. There's flood walls, there's drainage structures. It's just a massive structure, and they all have to work together, or else we're going to have a flooding event. We are continually making improvements in this system, making it better, making it more resilient. This was a former sandbag location. I think it was a 30-foot wide opening, 3-foot high. It would take 1,000 sandbags to install. Approximately half a day, you'd have to get an army of people to fill and place the sandbags. With this project, with the sliding gate, we can take 1 or 2 people up here, we can close the gate, and essentially in 20 minutes you're done and you're off to the next site.
There are a lot of homes in the floodway, and people live in these homes, and they're consistently flooded over the past few years. And so what we do is we purchase their homes from them at a market value, and we demolish them. So we remove the threat to the floodplain, and we remove the threat to their safety. The river gauge behind me indicates rising floodwaters. So when you want to know if the river has risen, it's a little bit difficult to tell. So you can come out here, those triangles are 3-foot triangles. So it's easy to denote how fast the river has risen, how quickly it's coming up, and you can kind of prepare yourself better. The community can prepare itself better for when it's going to come over the banks. These storms are still going to be coming, and they're going to increase in severity, and they need to understand that they can protect themselves, and there's ways to protect themselves, and they just need to reach out to their local municipalities, their floodplain managers. You can do a lot in your home without removing your home in order to protect your home, your life, your property from flooding.
Flooding event happened, and we want to remember that, and we want to take those lessons learned. How this affected this community, how it shaped the community, how it shaped Pennsylvania, but also, besides remembering what we can learn from it, still moving forward and still continue to take resilient steps moving forward, knowing that it will happen again, and we're still at that risk, and it's important to learn from those lessons 50 years later.